knowingly deceiving because you already know the answer is no. That is taking everything. It doesn't have to be brutal. And I'm sorry to anybody who has experienced it in terrible fucking ways, including Smashley. I hated hearing what happened to Smash. I think it's fucking disgusting that anybody has to go through that. But again, all you're doing is showing you're not a good person because you're playing the mine was worse, so yours doesn't exist game and weaponizing it. And I know that you don't want to see it that way. I know you're going to play me tonight. You're going to laugh and you're going to make fun of me. But I might not have night terrors, but I absolutely get panic attacks sometimes when I get touched. Also, to the dumbasses who don't understand ADHD, eye contact typically can be a thing with neurodivergent individuals, especially when they're looking at themselves. Sometimes I think it's a little weird to see myself when I'm talking, because I'm talking to everybody and not me. But I am, again, here to issue an apology to everybody, because I am deeply sorry that anybody has been made to feel that their experience is invalidated or less than because someone has sat on the internet and said that because someone else's wasn't as bad as theirs, it's not SA. We did.
Or just this?
No, we have. Is it in the... I wonder if it got buried in the clothes basket. I am deeply sorry. I thought we were done with this. I thought that person said they weren't going to talk about it anymore. But I heard that a lot of people were triggered last night. I don't know what was said. I really don't care to watch it. Yeah. At this point, like, I can't make anybody do anything. All I can say is from the bottom of my own heart, I don't believe that. I don't endorse it. I don't think it's okay. And I am deeply fucking sorry to anybody who has had to sit there and feel as if you can't talk about your own situation because someone is saying that anyone's who isn't as bad as theirs means it didn't happen or isn't what it is. Consent is consent. And I want to be very clear on something when it comes to DVSA, because there are some individuals on this app, like people who are named Devil's Kiss, that think it's okay to say that if you didn't say no or stop, you basically were asking for it and you consented. That's not true. Little kids don't say stop or no because they might not understand what's going on. Grown women, men, don't say stop or no because they freeze. Because you hit a flight or fight. And not everybody's instinct is to fight. To attempt to invalidate people's essay in such a way is beyond me. I really hope that some of you all will take time to go to Google and try to understand what you're saying before you say it. I feel like we crossed this bridge a long time ago with discussions around you're not asking for it. You can walk outside in your birthday suit. Doesn't mean you're asking to be anything but respected. Just because it's not the social norm doesn't mean that it gives somebody a right to your body. And When somebody does everything to take your consent away and you did not give it, it does not matter how anyone else sees it, you were violated. And that is the worst kind of violation. Because at any level, SA involves a very intimate part of you. And nobody has a right to take that. Whether it's, I'm not even gonna say like situations. It's just wrong. If you don't consent, it's fucking wrong. It's just like if somebody slips something in their drink, they can't consent. We wouldn't be sitting here and having this discussion. I'm sorry, Marlena. That's the thing. Marital rape wasn't always a law. Just because things aren't in your definition doesn't mean that there aren't people fighting for it. It doesn't mean that there aren't people who see it and recognize it. And rather than sit on the internet and insult an entire group of people because you're invalidating their stories, you could take the time to educate yourself. And I'm not coming from a place of hatred. I'm not coming from a place of like mocking or insulting. I just wish some people would take the time and recognize that no, nobody deserves it. And I'm really sorry you went through that. Like my heart breaks right now for everybody because there's a lot of people who haven't even told their stories that are in my inbox, sharing their stories with me and letting me know just how this makes them feel. And you can hate me, but the fact you're willing to go so far to hurt other people, like, and maybe you don't realize how it's hurting other people. Maybe you don't get that when you sit there and you invalidate one person's essay, you're doing it to a bunch of other people. But it only takes a little bit of research to look up and understand how you can't do things like that. And to everyone who's sitting here saying that I can't talk about mine because I think one thing was I didn't file a protective order. There was no need for a protective order by the end of it. When I found out who they were done. When I confronted them, they didn't want to have a conversation. They ran. Oh, got found out? Okay, time to go do it to someone else. Barry Demdall believed I reached out to some women and let him know he's not who he says he is. But I did what I needed to do to heal, and everyone's healing journey is different. And unless you have full evidence that somebody is lying, how can you sit there and invalidate anyone's? Like, in all of this, and all of the times it's been mentioned that Rivka's trafficking story doesn't make sense, or someone has said something to invalidate hers, I've been the one to say, it's not fucking okay. We don't get to define Rivka's story. We don't get to define Rivka's reactions. We don't get to define how Rivka lives her life. Rivka's trauma is Rivka's trauma, and we don't get to question it when there is no proof that anything should be questioned. Because who am I to say that didn't happen to her, and she's found the right way to live her life in ways that give her an ability to feel confident and feel like she has that power and control that was taken from her. Because at the core of it, that's what that is. It's power and control. It's not about taking it with the most brutal force all the time. It's about having that power over somebody and being able to control the situation. And we don't get to define what that should look like. Just like I messaged Smash after she told her story and made it very clear, I don't think what happened to her is okay. I've never once questioned if they're telling the truth. I would never fucking do that. And you can sit there and you can question mine all you want, but do it behind closed doors. Because you're hurting a lot more people than me. And at this point, you're not even hurting me anymore. Like, you've said what you've said for months. You've done what you've done for months. I'm immune to it now. But you are hurting a lot of people. I'm so sorry, New Year, New Me. It's not okay. And that's the other thing too. Mr. Mallory made a really good point the other day. He said it's like when people say men can't be raped because if they have a reaction, people say they wanted it. And that's not true. It's a really heavy dynamic, and I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to argue. I have never really understood the concept of going so low to get into people's intimacy and relationships at that level. But make fun of me all you want. Try to blackmail me about feet pictures and Mr. Mallory all you want. I don't give a fuck. I know my relationship. I'm secure in my relationship. I love this fucking man. I don't need your approval on how we work or who we are. Number one, he's never bought feet pictures. I would know. I see the bank account. But, okay. Number two, like, I'm not the one being hurt in all of this. I'm really not. And I'm really worried that at some point, someone's mental health is going to be affected to a point where there's no return. Hate me all you want. Do what you are. Say what you're going to say about me, but just, for the love of God, remember that there are other people in the world who didn't have as bad of an experience, but that doesn't invalidate their trauma. Because the she enjoyed it is really triggering a lot of people. And I feel like we should recognize that because it's not okay. Oh, I'm fine. I'm just addressing something else. I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to listen. I still don't know what exactly got said last night. I got sent a handful of messages, basically that the same rhetoric was being repeated. I'm not going to go looking for I don't want to watch it because I don't know. I know what it says at the core of the message. I don't need to listen to it. But we had a good night last night. We hung out with Rissa on her live and minded our business, and you can't take that away. So, I don't know. Also, I'd be very careful with who you're blackmailing on the internet. Not just in terms of me. And you might not think it's all that serious, but a lot of people take their safety very seriously. And there are a lot of individuals who think that one person stands on their own, but I think it's really important to remember there is a line, and when you're starting to threaten certain people, blackmail certain people, attempt to silence them using certain information, not everyone is your average everyday citizen. So, just remember that. I'm trying to think. Anywho, like I said last night, done with the drama. I just kind of wanted to make sure, number one, everyone knows, like, I don't care. I don't have anything to hide. Like, I'm still not worried about Mr. Mal, even though someone tried to send me a photo to show he watches corn. Okay, Anne? 99% of y'all are going to bat for a man who made corn with multiple women. But are we going to shame people for watching corn? When did we start doing that? Because I feel like most of us at some point in our life have seen it. So, and maybe you don't watch it. Maybe it's taboo to you. That's fine. We all are different. But it's kind of like with the Instagram thingy. Where y'all tried to message me and say he was like cheating on me and buying feet pictures and all that shit. Like, where's the proof? Number one. But then number two, you don't know my relationship. You don't know everything about us. And I will tell you one thing, this man has been to hell and back for me. And I think it's very important to remember that we all are different. And I don't know. Sometimes I wish people would think about the insults they're throwing around before they insult more people. Because I feel like a lot of insults that have been thrown around lately are kind of applicable to both sides when it comes to at least one person you're sitting with, and I'm not gonna participate in that. I just yeah, I'm like, I don't even know anymore. But I will say, my mental health is fine. I have had a therapist for the better part of, oh my God, 11 years now. So if anything was wrong, I know she would let me know because I'm very open with her. And I'm very thankful for her because she's also been someone who's been in my corner for a very long time. And I just want to remind people, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to need to speak to somebody. I know that it's not always easy to get into therapy instantaneously, but if you are struggling, I had a conversation with someone the other day, and they had pointed out it feels like a lot of people don't know what depression can feel like exactly, to some levels. So I will say it. I have been that person who laid in bed, and getting out and getting dressed for the day was the greatest accomplishment for that day. Sometimes we just have those days where getting out of bed feels like the biggest mountain to climb. I have been that person who has questioned if I wanted to be here anymore. Years and years ago, I haven't struggled with those thoughts in a very long time. I have been that person who day after day had anxiety and panic attacks. And I can tell you the day I got my therapist was life-changing. And it doesn't happen instantaneously. It took time and it took trust building and everything else. But when you are capable of telling somebody things that isn't there to judge you and is there to offer their perspective and help you normalize some of the things you're experiencing, it's a beautiful thing. So if you are experiencing something, the other thing I want to say, I can listen to you, my mods can listen to you, but we are not therapists. And we can't always be on. We have our own mental health too. And if you hop in their inbox, don't expect them to like hop on a phone call with you. We've had a few people who just instantly want them to be on a phone and share their phone number. And we have to have boundaries, I think. I think that's part of mental health too, not just for them, but for you, because the last thing I ever want is for someone to get dependent on someone on the internet and then something happen where it gets really fucking hard. So we are here. If you're struggling and you need someone to talk to, we'll listen. We can't always be on every second of the day. You can't expect that. There are hotlines with people who are very skilled at handling situations, even more so than we are. And I'm not telling you that we aren't here for you, but if you are in the moment and you are struggling with something very heavy, DV, SA, mental health, just know there's people out there who will listen and hear you. And sometimes it's okay to not be okay and take that measure, because the last thing I want is for anyone to feel like because we weren't on 24/7 that nobody cares, because we do. But I get a lot of messages and barely have time to keep up with my own life 99% of the time. I think we know everyone works and has jobs. We know that people experience things, like we know Rissa's been going through the fire stuff and things. And we know that life hits everybody. So Andrea, don't feel like that, please. I can't tell you not to feel like that. It's valid to feel like that, but I don't want you to think that you don't matter. And I really do hope you'll talk to somebody, because those thoughts are hard to get out of, but it's okay to need somebody to talk to. Yeah, and that's my thing. The last thing I want is for anybody to, my fear is, for a really long time, I've always heard that, if someone reached out in my inbox and they were just at wit's end and they were going to unalive themselves and I didn't respond, it would be my fault. I think boundaries, you have to respect a lot of things. And one of them is, I'm really afraid of trauma bonding happening, where someone feels overly empathetic for somebody and gets caught up in things because of that. And so it's really hard, because we want to be here, we want to help you, but we can only do so much. And at the end of the day, always want to make sure that we're doing it the right way, because you can talk to me all day long, but I'm not a therapist. And thank you, Nicole. And there's a lot going on right now. And I think that a lot of us aren't aware of it. I think that it's going to become more evident in the next month or two. I believe Colombia turned away 2 planes with individuals who were being deported recently. I think as recently as today or yesterday, I believe. I know that there was a raid, I believe, in Los Angeles with ICE. And I know that there's a lot going on, and it's okay to not be okay at any level. I know there's a lot going on personally. People lose people in their lives. People go through really traumatic situations. So please, please, please take time for yourselves. The invalidation of gender identity, all of it. Like, I know it's really heavy right now. I know it's impacting a lot of people. I promise you, I know. I haven't really brought it up here because there's just been a lot, and I've really been trying to like shift so we're not stuck on everything nasty. ICE is like the part of the government that goes in and they find individuals who are not here. They're not here, they're not documented immigrants. I hate the word illegal. Nobody should ever be labeled illegal, because at the end of the day, a lot of our family members came over and were not born here and took rights to be here. So I know that there's going to be people, we aren't going to share the same opinions on this. I can't look at somebody and say that I blame them for wanting to try to make a better life for themselves and protect their family and do better for their family. I know that legally we have things in place, but I also know that sometimes fear can make us do things, and it's not always fair, the process. So I think a lot of people's lives are about to be turned upside down. And whether or not you agree with maybe how they got here, at the end of the day, please remember we're humans. And a lot of those individuals who are here and they aren't documented are the ones doing the jobs that a lot of us would scoff at doing or benefit from them taking. And that's not to demean or belittle anybody, but they've already put themselves in a situation where they have limited means because of how they've entered our space. And it's a fact. It is. They're the ones that aren't getting the high-end jobs and corporate level office space and all of that. They're the ones doing a lot of the work that a lot of us would feel is way beneath us. And they do it because they want their family to have a better life, and taking all of the laws and everything out of it, insert human empathy and understand that whether or not you agree with how they got here, they're here. They could be your neighbors. They could be a family member. But we know what happens when we lose empathy, and let fear isolate us from certain people and individuals. And fear can make people do crazy things. A lack of empathy can make people do crazy things. Oh, Be the Reason's always been here. They're good. I promise, they're good. Even if you do kind of feel a certain way and wish people were here with proper documentation, just remember at the end of the day, you can empathize with somebody and still have your beliefs. And I would hope that anyone in here recognizes that, because oh, I know, I'm just letting you know. I just wanted you to know they're good people. I just feel like that's really important to emphasize right now, because there's a lot of hate in the world. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of bad going on, and there's been a lot of drama going on. But the world is so much bigger than us. The world is so much bigger than problems, and my relationship pales in comparison to the individuals who have spent years building lives for themselves in this country, and because they don't have a piece of paper, are going to be taken stripped of a lot of human decency and sent to somewhere where they have to start over again. And it's a scary fucking thought, because it's only a couple steps away from repeating a very large piece of history that should have never occurred. But just don't let fear override your sense of empathy. And understand that you can feel a way, but you can still look at things and see a rational point of view. Groupthink is heavy. I think we see that on this app in small doses. But we've seen what happens when entire nations are okay with the isolation, segregation, fear, and a level of self-preservation. Not being the one to speak up because you don't want to be the minority. But sometimes the right thing isn't always easy, and sometimes the right thing doesn't make you a popular person. But you have to be able to, at the end of the day, lay down and know that you haven't sacrificed yourself in the process. And again, therapy is a really good place if you're not quite sure who you are anymore. Because I've been there. So I promise. Thank you, Fire Horse. Sorry, guys, the comments are going a little fast, so I'm not seeing everything. I just kind of want to get all this out because I do not plan on going live tonight. I kind of, I've been honest in, like, getting this new project, and there's, like, a tight deadline, so I'm probably gonna, like, maybe if someone goes live, hang out with them, but I am really focused on kind of hitting some deadlines, so, Kathy, there's so many people who are going to believe you. Have you at all, are you still with that counselor, or have you found somebody else? Because if not, I would suggest going somewhere where that person is not and speaking with someone completely different, because I promise you, there's a lot of people in this world who believe you, and there are a lot of people who will believe you. And step one is making sure you're okay and in a safe space so that you can feel comfortable. Nobody expects anybody to come out with it right away. You might need time to build trust, but I highly suggest finding someone who you feel comfortable with. I also do want to take a moment to recognize that I hope a lot of you who are business owners, who are HR representatives, who are higher ups in a corporation, will take into consideration some of the things that are going on and some of the fears that other individuals have at this point in terms of equity and inclusion within a workspace and just the fair ability to be able to work. You might not hear it from your employees, you might not know it, but there are a lot of people in this world scared that they're about to be let go because they've never faltered from who they are. And they're not bad people, they just are people who have their life experiences and deserve their freedom. And I can tell you there's a lot of individuals who are terrified that something as simple as the place they work is going to be able to look at them and say, I don't agree with your lifestyle. Goodbye. And I would hope there's a lot of people in here right now who would recognize that and know, thank you, Nini. You can be the change. And we can't change everybody's minds. These bigger corporations are usually the ones who it's going to be the hardest, but we can set a precedence at a lower level and hopefully see it come up. And remember that you have the ability to advocate for things in your community. You have the ability to advocate for things statewide. I can tell you sometimes it feels abso-fucking-lutely hopeless. Living in a red state and being extremely blue, but it takes... Change doesn't happen if society isn't willing to accept differences of opinions. And when you advocate them in fair and equitable ways, it can happen. I am really, really upset with the decisions of Target. Really upset. And I'm in a space where I have really spoken up about the ways they've handled DEI and think that everything they have done has gone against the brand they've been building for a very long time. I absolutely agree it's gonna catch up. And I hope that they are ready because, again, they have built their reputation. I would argue the right wing is the one keeping themselves out of it. Because DEI, at its core, is fundamentally making sure that there is an equitable seat at the table. And everything that is happening right now is rolling that back. Are your views retroactive to diversity, equity, and inclusion? Because, yeah, they're going to be frowned on. The whole point of DEI is being able to accept that there are people in this world that we don't understand their experiences and we never will. Yeah, you can get rid of them. Not arguing with that. It's not about race. It's about equity, inclusion, diversity at every level. Hold on. Not all companies are backing away. Let's hit a high note.